What's up, everybody? Welcome to Busy Sticks, the Geekiverse's all video game talk show. Today, we're talking about Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, and a little bit more information we got on that on this week's PlayStation State of Play. I'm Josiah Leroy. With me today, John Fick. John, how you feeling after that Last of Us talk?
I'm feeling great. It was a great conversation. That show just continues to impress us, and it made me realize that I want to replay Left Behind after that episode. It's been a while. I only played that game when it second came out with the PS4 re-release, so I got to get to that.
If there was a realization for me watching that episode last night, it's that I need to drum to Take On Me.
Oh my God, yeah. They need to stop. We didn't talk about this during that episode. They got to stop using that because, like, I just go back to that moment, that part 2 moment. And, like, every time I hear that song now, I start to tear up. And it's a problem.
I love that. I loved that song prior to the game.
Me too. Same
For
here.
some reason,
It's awesome. It's a banger.
It's perfect 80s. But then you get that in The Last of Us, we'll say, without spoiling. And then we get it in the trailer, right? That built up version of it that we saw it debut the day we had the
drawn out. Yeah, like, oh man.
Yeah, and they're using it to perfection. So
They are.
Cannot wait to talk more about that. But this is video games. Sorry, Last of Us. You have your own show. We're going to talk about video games other than The Last of Us here. So in what is in our system, in our PlayStation, our Xbox, our Nintendo Switch, our Steam Deck, before we get to that, what's about to be in our system? Now, John, I know you were trying to finish off a beer from The Last of Us, but what's debuting here? Where are you with the clicker beer that you had? Give us the runaround here.
Oh yeah, so I debuted the clicker beer on the Last of Us episode last week, and I still got a couple of those left. So I cracked one for last episode, and I still got a little left here. So that's not my beer of the week. I have my own beer for this week, and it is one that you've had before, actually, on the show. It is Fifth Frame Turned Down. I remembered you having it on the show, and I remember you saying how much you liked it. Fifth Frame does great work, so I'm like, yeah, I'm going to grab a 4-pack of that.
I love it. Yeah, it was a good one, for sure. For me, John...
you lied to me, is what happened.
It's not even fun anymore. Just, can you stop? Yeah, I got clickers.
You point blank lied to me last episode. You lied to my virtual face.
When did you know that I lied to you? Did you accidentally see it when I did
this? Yes, I saw it. Yeah. I'm like, I'm going to wait till he tries to pull that over, and I'm just going to throw it back in his face.
I was pretty sure that you would see it, and I'm like, I don't care. Maybe he'll just be like looking away for a second, but yeah, there it was. So Lauren did get her hands on it this weekend. What an awesome wife I have.
Okay, so to be fair, you didn't lie. I asked if you went to Wegmans technically, so I guess you didn't lie.
Sure. Semantics wise, I did not go to Wegmans, but Lauren went for us, for the Leroy household. And I'm like on my deathbed, drama queen, just like, and she's like, what do you want from Wegmans? Clickers. What? Clickers.
Like for the TV?
Right. She's like, is that a beer? I'm like, it looks like the clickers from The Last of Us. She must have thought I was hysterical and not in the funny kind of way at this point. But she comes back and she sets the 4-pack on the nightstand, and I give her the thumbs up and she takes it to the fridge. So that is what I've got. But
Amazing.
My glass is celebrating something else this week.
Oh, nice.
So, we've got the Mandalorian here. In just a few days' time, we've got Mando there. We've got Grogu on the other side. 2 days from now, my friend, we're going to be talking season 3 of The Mandalorian.
Sure are. Can't wait.
Cannot wait.
Hey,
cheers, buddy.
Cheers, man. What else we got? We got J-Mac in the chat. Welcome, J-Mac.
J-Mac! I feel like I haven't seen/talked to you in ages. So good to see you, but not really see you. Yeah, John, that is very good.
Yeah, it's super good. I'm a big fan of that one. I'm probably going to pick up more. A lot of these beers I pick up for the novelty of the artwork and just want to try something new, but that might be when I grab a couple more 4-packs of before it's off shelves.
Gotta do it, man. Gotta do it. All right. Fantasy draft update. We've got nothing new this week. I teased that for the Geekiverse Fantasy Drafts Fantasy League. I have a bid in. I'm not going to tell you which bid, and John, being a good commissioner, is not going to go peek at it.
I don't have that ability.
So he's a liar too, folks. So next episode, we'll see if I was successful or not. But I feel good about this one. This is one that could really, really help me out this year.
I'm just going to try to block your bid by just emptying my bank account and then just drop the game after. Because I only have one slot left, so it better be a good one.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I hope you do. And then I hope you hang on to it and you don't drop it.
Oh boy. We have fun here.
What? We have lots of fun. What's in your system, John? A lot of good stuff, clearly.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, we're on maybe week 3 of this, but the answer is Hogwarts Legacy. Still, of course, got my little wands here while I'm playing, just to set the ambiance, set the vibe a little bit. You know, got to have the Harry Potter wands. I am happy to say that I've actually finished the main story. It took me 32 hours. I did plenty of side stuff while I was doing my main run through, like. I feel like I maybe spent more time doing side stuff. So maybe the game's like 15 hours if you just main path it. I don't even know if
That's crazy.
I don't even know if you can do that. I think you have to like do some extra stuff to get that level up and things like that. I don't know. I was just doing so much extra stuff that like I was over leveled by the time I got to the end. I will say that's one thing about the game is like there's really no difficult fights, but I loved it. Like I think I tweeted about this at one point, but it's so refreshing to see a game like that has a pretty traditional sense of progression, right? Like you're going through, you're learning more, there's bigger bad guys, stuff like that. But the last couple of levels aren't just more and more difficult bad guys, which is like such an easy trope in video games. It's the same gameplay. It's just like even some of our favorite games of all time, like a God of War Ragnarok, right? You're getting towards the end of that game. You know a brutal battle is coming up. And someone like me, I got anxiety. I get stressed about stuff like that. So like, again, love those games. I feel really rewarded after I finish those fights. But it's refreshing to play a game that doesn't necessarily need to do that. Some of the last couple of main story quests in Hogwarts Legacy were just super creative. Like one was like, I don't want to spoil anything. Like it just changed up the art style of the world and went somewhere really crazy, and there was no difficulty at all. It was just really interesting. Like you just get a lot of cool story developments in this very different setting, and that was like the third last level in the game. Other games would have just been like, no, here's a super big bad boss you have to beat to get this information, right? Like,
yeah,
right. So I mean,
for sure.
I thought you were going to say something. It looked like you were about to talk, so I'll let you go.
No, I'm sorry, but I will interject. I am also playing this. Obviously, you've gotten your time in on that. So 32 hours, that makes me feel good because time feels like it's at a premium when it comes to gaming for me. And I was able to play a little bit more of this yesterday. So I popped in maybe another hour or so. So okay. I'm only like 2 hours in the game. I'm very, very early on. But much like Tim has been saying, where he just wants to do side content, that is never me, ever. That's what I want to do. Like, I'm getting distracted in the best way.
Yep.
I am looking at everything. I'm venturing in different rooms and I'm going off the beaten path in just this short period of time. And it's to the point where I feel like I want to connect with characters. I want to know their names, all of it. And I'm reading the lore and the menus. It's really fun and rewarding. And I love that you said that it was maybe roughly 32 hours for you, because for me, that feels like I can do this. I don't have to spend 300 hours in this massive open world. Like, right. That is the right size for me for when it comes to a game of this magnitude.
Yeah. And I think what this game does so well is what you're describing, but even more so, it's like, it organizes the open world and like persuades you the right ways to just spend time where you want to spend time. And you just kind of naturally fall back to the main quest. Like you'll spend 20 minutes, half hour just doing the Merlin trials, which are like the little puzzles all throughout the world. Kind of like the temples, not temples, but whatever they're called, shrines in Zelda, right? They're all over the place. There's hundreds of them in this game. And like sometimes you just spend time checking it off that list. Then I'll go do a side quest with Sebastian or with Poppy, something like that. These awesome side characters in these games. And then all of a sudden it just makes sense for you to do the next story or the main quest. It all just flows together so well. And I think that's what this game does best, is like, you and I, notoriously tough to get in open world games. And I think that's because most of them, so many of them at least, aren't designed that well. Like, it's just so, they just berate you with content, and to some people that's awesome. But I need my content to flow. And I think that's actually what it comes down to. I like linear narrative because obviously that flows well. If you give me an open world that flows well, and like everything is kind of just compartmentalized the way it makes sense for me to tackle these quests, I'm all in on an open world as long as it makes sense that way. And I think Hogwarts Legacy, I compared it in the past to a game like Ghost of Tsushima, also same vein. Everything just organized properly. The side quests are just the right bite size. They're interesting enough. I spend enough time with them that I want to go back to the main story. It all just flows very well. And it doesn't feel like I'm doing side quests. It doesn't feel like extra content. It just feels like the experience I should be getting from the game.
Because it's good content.
Right. What a novel idea.
Crazy. What I've been thinking about, so you said Tsushima, and that's what really was like the nail in the coffin for me to go get this. So one game that I'm finding myself feel similar to in the way of exploration is Jedi Fallen Order. Now, Star Wars is obviously my holy grail, right? Like, it could be a bad Star Wars game and I'd still want to spend 60 hours with it, probably. But Harry Potter is not that. But I want it to be like that. I want to learn more about the lore that we're getting here and dive into the background of the students and how they got to Hogwarts. And I love that it's a year 5 entry. Like, that's so perfect instead of having us all start at year 1.
Yeah.
And it meshes so well.
And for someone like you who likes Harry Potter, fine, you've seen the movies, whatever, maybe read a couple of the books, not something that's, you're that passionate about, you don't have to be, right? This is like a reintroduction to Hogwarts. This is like a second chance for people who are just like whatever about Harry Potter to get back into it and to like really enjoy like a unique story in that world, which I think is really cool.
This is, I was sitting playing that game last night and just, I feel so engrossed in it, and I'm not looking at my phone during cutscenes. I'm just paying attention to what's going on. And a very pretty game, by the way. It's like a painting at different times.
Looks great.
It really does. And I was nervous about that because some of these open world games don't look like that.
Yeah.
Even from a high pedigree. But I'm just enjoying it, and I'm thinking about like, okay, when am I going to watch the Harry Potter movies? So this is doing exactly what I would have hoped. It's, first of all, a fun video game. Second of all, it's kind of pulling me back into that world a little bit. So really excited about it. I've got my my work cut out for me, but thankfully, Star Wars was delayed, so that'll give me more time to dive into this. And it's early on, excuse me, but I could see myself going and trying to 100% this.
Right. One thing I'll say, it's kind of stupid and petty, but like, I have less of a passion to do that because I bought the game on Steam and I won't be getting trophies and I won't be getting a platinum trophy. And like, that's dumb, right? But like, I don't know. There's something about having all of my, when I go for the gold in the game and I try to get that platinum, it's nice that they're all in one place, right? Like, I've done all of my platinums. Yeah. They're all on my trophy list. That's where I got my platinums. So to do it on Steam and be like, I have one Steam game that I have 100% on. Like, yeah, there's still a good chance I do it because, like, yes, I finished the main story, but there's still so much I want to do. There's side quests I want to wrap up. Like, I want to get the Merlin trials done. There's stuff I didn't even scratch the surface on, man. Like, one of the main-ish mechanics of the game is lockpicking. It's a spell called Alohomora. And there's level 1, 2, and 3 of that. And there's so many rooms that are locked behind 2 and 3. I'm still on level 1. I didn't do any of the side quests to unlock 2 and 3. And I beat the game. There's so much, for me to do that's kind of still like relatively big content. So we'll see how long.
No, I'm the same way.
Right.
I'm the total same way. Like, for me, a lot of reason. Well, first of all, I love my PS5. Second of all, I love the DualSense. But third, if I'm going to show off this electronic badge of mine, I want it in the form of a platinum trophy. And that used to be Xbox achievements for me. I love that. I collected and hunted achievements for the longest time, but now I'm a PlayStation guy when it comes to that. So even to this is a stupid nitpick for me, but like, Nintendo, why don't you have something similar to trophies or achievements? Give me some of that by now. Like, come on.
I would love that. I would have probably spent so much more time in a game like, I don't know, Mario Odyssey, which I spent tons of time in, right? But I would have I would have gone for the platinum or whatever the equivalent would have been for Nintendo, but they know they don't have to do that. People are going to keep buying these Mario games.
Until we all revolt until there's some sort of Nintendo scoring system.
Yeah, as you and I can't wait to go see the Mario movie, as my wife and I are watching YouTube videos of Super Nintendo World in California.
Yeah, they got us and they know it. What else you played, John? Anything else?
No, nothing else. That's literally it. That's
Awesome.
been everything. I've been playing it. It's been interesting. Like I've talked about it a few times, playing it on Steam because like I've just always been a console guy. But like playing it at my PC has been kind of fun. You know, testing out like what a AAA game looks like on PC, getting the settings right, getting it to look as good as I think it would probably look on a PS5. Having some drawbacks where I'm getting some drops where I don't want it to. Enough so where I like looked up PS5 performance. I'm like, are they getting this too? Like, is there drop frames for these guys too? And it does seem like when you get to like Hogsmeade and certain parts of the castle that there are some frame drops. Like, okay, it's not. I don't have that much of an inferior version. More so, it's that my PC is not up to snuff. But that's been it, man. I've just been able to play the game everywhere because of my Steam Deck and because of the ease of access of having it on my PC here. So every second I've been able to get some free time. I've been playing Hogwarts Legacy. I don't know what's next. I have the opposite problem of you. It's like, man, I just wrapped this up perfectly. Like Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor should be coming out any day now, right? Oh no, freaking got delayed. I got that little bump. So I gotta wait, and I've got nothing in the meantime. So maybe I'll look at something in my backlog and check something off, but I'm not sure yet.
Well, Left Behind this is a good time for you to do that on the PS5.
It's true, but then like that's coming to Steam in 6 days. So like, how cool would that be to play on my Steam Deck? I don't know. We'll see.
It's a conundrum, man. It throws a wrench in it.
I know.
For
Stupid
me,
Steam Deck.
Seriously. Dead Space. I finished Dead Space remake over the weekends, and man, John, I don't know if I'm just not as good as I used to be at video games, but when I played that original game back, I probably played it 2011 through Xbox 360. I beat it with one weapon, maxed out, and the final boss, the Hive Mind, I beat without dying once. Like, I don't know what happened to me. I switched it up. I used numerous weapons. It took me probably 4 or 5 times because I was just frustrated by the end of it.
I died a couple.
But
I had a couple deaths to that crazy guy.
Yeah. Anyway, nevertheless, I beat it. I'm so happy it exists. I was reading an article between the creative director on the remake and the original creative director. They did a joint interview for Game Informer. And I loved hearing how much respect kind of the remake team had for the original and how this was like a labor of love, so to speak, for EA Motive. And what better team to handle that than someone who passionately enjoys the original work of art there. So Dead Space Remake, man, that is the definitive way to dive into this series for so many reasons. I really enjoyed it. It plays just like the original. It plays better. All of it looks better. There's some things that you can notice that we talked about a few episodes back on Busy Sticks where we noticed that it's out of its time a little bit. There's certain elements that should have been updated that weren't, but still, this is a solid 9 out of 10 video game for me. And when I think about remakes later this year, we got Resident Evil 4 Remake, which is very, very highly anticipated, and that's coming out in about a month's time. This is going to be right up there with that title in terms of, I think, how they're critically received. So really awesome stuff there. And then, were you going to say something, John?
I was, but then I lost it, so it's okay.
Okay. Or even. So Bendy and the Dark Revival, I've been playing on Steam Deck again. That is a very short game, but when I had to uninstall it because there was an issue with the game, to reinstall it, basically, it deleted my save file. Not a huge deal. I was only 2 hours into it, but a little bit frustrating nonetheless.
Annoying. I hate that.
That's a little annoying. But I'm back into it. I love that atmosphere. I gotta say, if you want jump scare without gore, no one does it better than the Bendy series. Like, that is super underrated. John, I was thinking about this. So maybe this is what you play.
I was just thinking about that.
Bendy and the Ink Machine, the first game.
Yep.
We own this because I bought it on sale on Steam. So you love BioShock. This is heavily inspired by BioShock. All the lore in it, kind of you talk about the failed underwater utopia. That's that setting. But if you imagine BioShock in an old Disney cartoon studio.
Yeah.
That's what this is.
It's a good. You're making a good pitch, so it's something I might want to check out. And it's like you said, it's easy. We have it on Steam, so I just got to press download.
Exactly, and that is a quick game too. You can probably play that in 5 to 6 hours or so if you enjoy it. It's so well done. You can definitely tell it's a little bit clunky, but this is not a shooter like BioShock. BioShock's a little clunky too, but this is all melee. So I heavily recommend it. What's funny on the Disney thought, because it is inspired by old school Disney cartoons, is there's a character named Boris that is inspired by Goofy, and Daisy saw as I was playing for a few minutes poster on the wall of Boris, and she goes, "Goofy," and I was like, "No, no, this is not Disney. We're not gonna watch this. It's fine."
That's funny.
But
maybe
yeah,
we'll check
definitely
that out.
recommend that. I would, especially if you got a lull here. So
For sure.
that's it for me.
My thought came back with Dead Space. I just saw a headline that EA was pinging and kind of gauging interest with fans, doing some surveys about 2 and 3, if they would like a
Yes.
Dead Space 2 and 3 remake. So if that's the case, I'm sure we'll see him in 12 to 17 years, but exciting. I would like to play the second one. I thought after playing Dead Space Remake, which was my first time playing through that game, I thought about just firing up Dead Space 2 and just like going right for it, but I'm like, should I do that or should I try to wait? Yeah, no.
Dude, it's so funny. Well, it'd be 12 to 17 years from the original.
Yeah.
Good news is Dead Space 2 came out 2 years after Dead Space. So
I mean,
we're almost there.
Development cycles
It's fine.
nowadays are just brutal, man. I don't know.
So here's my thought on that. In the interview, they asked about Dead Space 2 remake. They're like, "What do you think?" Basically, the guy was like, "Listen, this was they picked this up after Star Wars Squadrons. That was the last game in it. And what was
Oh,
that? That would have been
yeah.
2020.
Yeah,
That's not bad. That's 2.5, almost 3 years.
that is
So
true.
they said, let's pump the brakes kind of thing. Let's see how well this game sells, which it sold really well. But he's like, I'm going on vacation. We'll come back, we'll regroup, and we'll see what the studio wants. I think Dead Space 2 is a shoo-in. Like, that is all but a guarantee for me, and I could see the same team doing it because they crushed it. And many people would consider Dead Space 2 to be better than the first one, despite how well thought of the first one is. So I gotta say, it's got my vote that they should sink some time into it. Dead Space 3 is the one where people were like, maybe you guys should take a break.
Yeah,
So I could do without that one.
cool.
But yeah, good. Hopefully more good stuff ahead. Not a lot of news this week. I know we're going out of order here, John, but do you want to just touch briefly on the Pokemon Presents?
Yeah, so that was a Pokemon Day. Pokemon Presents. Expectations are usually really low with those, just because Pokemon Company's weird, and to no one's surprise, there wasn't much going on. They talked about Pokemon Sleep, that app that like literally tracks your sleep, and you have Pokemon that sleep with you and apparently get different stats based on how well you slept. That bizarre stuff. Go watch the trailer. I don't even understand the concept, and I've watched it a couple of times. But Pokemon Sleep is a thing. A couple of new anime stuff. They're a really cool like stop motion animation they're gonna be doing with Netflix, which is interesting. I'm excited for that. And then game wise, they announced DLC for Scarlet and Violet. So there's going to be 2 parts to this one major DLC, which was the same kind of formula they did with Sword and Shield. First part is out in this fall, and then 2024 for part 2. So same formula they're sticking with with Sword and Shield. Makes sense. It worked well. I didn't play the Sword and Shield DLC because I just didn't really love those games that much. Probably my least favorite Pokemon games of all time. On the flip side, Scarlet and Violet, like some of my favorite Pokemon games of all time. So I'm lots of incentive for me to check these out and see how they're doing with DLC nowadays. But that's really all we got from Pokemon Presents.
In other news for the week, one of my most anticipated games for the year, Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League. What we got from State of Play was about 8 minutes worth of behind the scenes and gameplay footage. And I'll just read a quick excerpt from GameInformer.com to intro this. But the demo shows the squad trying to rescue Lex Luthor, who is held captive by a brainwashed Flash. Wonder Woman makes a cameo, and we also learn that the Penguin will be involved. Additionally, other supervillains will aid the squad in their mission. Toyman upgrades the team's gear while Gizmo works on their vehicles. As for the previously rumored live service elements, Rocksteady confirmed a battle pass that will only feature cosmetic items and has both free and paid premium tiers. An FAQ emphasizes that all in-game purchases are optional and do not affect gameplay. Additionally, the game will not have loot boxes. It was also announced that Suicide Squad will have free post-launch content, including new missions and unlockable playable characters. John, your thoughts on all of this?
I saw the gameplay, and initially, I think I sent a text in our gaming group chat where I was like, I'm kind of into this. Like, I think I'm, a little bit higher on this than maybe I ever have been. After reading all of that and seeing that through and listening to kind of the developer diary after the fact, I've never been lower on my expectations for this game. I'm very worried about it, man. I think that the gameplay looks fun and interesting, and there's something there, but the same could be said and was true about Avengers. I'm terrified about the focus of being able to just pop around each character with no real rhyme or reason as to why you're playing that character. The fact that it's just open to always be able to play co-op is just dangerous because like the level design definitely suffers that way. It just lends these characters to all play the same. And it worries me about story structure. Like, are we just going to be getting the same kind of missions in a different world where I'm just killing grunts, and getting to the objective? Because that's what it kind of seems like. Well, maybe some of that gameplay is fun along the way, just like Avengers was. That's not enough. Like, we got Avengers, and like the overwhelming, the way everyone thought about that was like that wasn't enough for an Avengers game. And I was hoping for more here. The live service stuff, the development support after the fact, it scares me into thinking that there's not going to be enough content and not enough of a meaty story for me to really enjoy this as someone who would only ever play this game single player. I'm not going to find 3 buddies that are willing to coordinate to play the Suicide Squad game with me, right? So I don't know. The fact that right now my hopes are maybe it'll be as good as Avengers is really, really disappointing for me.
So for me, being such a huge Rocksteady guy and loving those Arkham games and seeing that this is part of that Arkhamverse, there's some stuff to take home that I'm really feeling better about. I think the gameplay looks really good. 3 of the 4 main characters shoot things. Weird for a superhero video game, right? But a weird thing that I even emphasized in my review of Batman Arkham Knight 8 years ago, by the way, is that there's a sequence towards the end of the game that is a gunplay sequence in a Batman game. Long story short, it's a dream sequence, basically. And it's done really well. Like, I was like, hey, Rocksteady could make a game out of this if they wanted to. Now, that was a very small slice. It is what it is. But even replaying it on my Steam Deck last year, I was thinking to myself, this holds up. This is fun gunplay. So if they bring that on a large scale to this, that could work. Still feels weird to say that it's a superhero video game or anti-hero, whatever you want to call it, and you're going to have guns. But I like the way some of the animation looks. Like, this looks like a beautiful game. I have concerns where I think this game takes the things we didn't like about Gotham Knights and Avengers and meshes them into one. And I know we're gun shy because we just got those games in the last 2 to 3 years, but rightfully so. Avengers single player campaign is awesome. It's really good content. And the way that you play the 5 different Avengers in that 6 actually in that game, it's well done. It's varied. It's executed well. It's intriguing. I never felt like any of it was just like Gotham Knights where it's all really the same character. I worry about the post-game content because if this has anything other than a just insanely hot start where people are saying this is a 9 out of 10 video game, oh my gosh, you got to play it. People are going to fall off fast.
It's going to die so quickly.
This is going to be canceled so much faster than Avengers was. 100%. I can't believe Avengers lasted this long.
Yeah, that's the Disney money backing right there that, let that game live for so long.
By the time Avengers got canceled very recently, I just couldn't believe that there was still any sort of post-game content going on. And what a shame, because Crystal Dynamics really, again, knocked that single-player story out of the park. And imagine the time and resources that could have gone into making that even better. Or hell, we talk about side missions all the time, John. What if those were awesome side content missions instead of the same level up 10 levels past your current level just so you can hope to get some loot?
Right.
That's ridiculous. And with Gotham Knights, the little I've played, like, it's so generic. It's not meaningful. And that is disappointing because Batman, especially with these Rocksteady video games, they're known for good content in the way of story and being focused on that. So why can't we have more Guardians of the Galaxy and less Avengers and Gotham Knights gameplay types?
Right. I think I'm with you in the sense that like the gameplay looked fun. Like I think that there's cool stuff there. It's just going to come down to like the variance in level design, because that's what really struggles when it comes to being able to choose these different characters and in designing these levels around co-op gameplay, and whether or not they put the time and resources into telling a good story. Which, benefit of the doubt, Rocksteady, they do that. They've done that. I just hope they didn't lean a little too heavily into what was this craze, this let's chase Destiny, let's get people, let's have this retention, let's have this game exist for 7 to 10 years, and let's make a lot of money that way. I hope they didn't lean a little too heavy into that during this development cycle. And if they did, they wouldn't have had time to see Avengers crash and burn and to see games like that really not pan out. There could be a situation where it was too far along. I hope my concerns are not valid, and I hope this game comes out and it's awesome, and it's a game that we could, experience single player and have a lot to talk about.
I totally agree. Like everything from even the story and some of the banter that goes on seems fun. Like I've said, I burned down on Suicide Squad, but if someone can resurrect it, it's Rocksteady. My fear is that this game is what we fear it is, and Rocksteady gets dismantled or they get split up, and that would be such a shame because those 3 Arkham games are just so near and dear to so many people. I'm a little biased. I love those games, but they were just so complete beginning to end.
Yeah.
And that would be such a disservice to them to see someone like a Warner Brothers say, nope, you're going to go and create what we saw in Destiny. Sorry, doesn't always translate. So hoping we're wrong. We were just wrong with Hogwarts Legacy, right?
Very
we
true.
were not confident about that game that came out and it took the world by storm. So hopefully there's some saving grace there.
I agree. I can't wait to see more coverage and see what the review previews look like. But I hope it's a game that I purchase. I hope it's a game that blows us away and it's at least better than Avengers, because I think it has to be better than Avengers. Because I'm with you that Avengers was good. I don't know. I think that when I look back on it, like, I think the story was a little generic. I didn't really care about the overall plot. The in the moment gameplay was creative and fun, and like I had fun playing those Avengers. But in a property that is the Avengers, developed by someone who has a pedigree, right, in Square Enix, Crystal Dynamics, like that game should have been incredible. That should have been on the level of Insomniac Spider-Man when it came to story and innovative gameplay and stuff like that. And I don't feel that way about even just the single player of that game. And I think that Suicide Squad needs to be better than that for me to see it as a success and to drop my $70 on it.
Well, I think if there is one studio that could pull it off, hopefully that is Rocksteady with that pedigree. So only time will tell here. Certain signs encouraged me. I was happy to hear them talk about no loot boxes, at least, and a few other things that are kind of negative connotations of the video game world. So we shall see. Only time will tell. That is it, though, for what we've got on this week of Talk for Busy Sticks. John, we've got some really awesome stuff going on outside the world of video games, including The Last of Us, and soon another awesome Pedro Pascal show. It's going to be awesome. Man, I can't wait. 2 days away. But what can people check out if they want more content in those universes?
Yeah, if you just want more Pedro Pascal, then I mean, we should just rename ourselves to the Pedro Pascal verse at this point.
For sure. For sure.
But yeah, so we're doing weekly episode discussions for The Last of Us. Those have been a blast. We just recorded episode 7. And yeah, this Wednesday, we've got The Mandalorian coming back, season 3. We're going to be doing the same thing. Every episode, we're going to be doing a reaction video. We're going to hope to get those up within a day or two of the episode going live. I know Joe and I are both going to be waking up early on Wednesdays to watch these before work, just so we don't have to worry about trying to cram them in after work or come down to the wire, because that's always fun. We started that trend with Obi-Wan, and that was a lot of fun to get up, and especially for that first week of Obi-Wan where there was 2. We got up at like 5 in the morning or something crazy like that. It was nice to be the only one up in the house even before my cats were up looking for their breakfast.
Dude, what a time that was. Like, if nothing else, what a fun memory. Like, there was all of us that were getting up for that first week. I had coworkers getting up too. It was doing the math to try to figure out how long I could possibly sleep. Like, what's the latest I could get up? Like, Buddy was 2 months old at that time. I remember trying to calm him down, making coffee, making sure he could watch that. And you know what? Like, having that group text to go live at like 7 in the morning to recap just what we saw in Obi-Wan was awesome. So I'm not sure we get there on Mandalorian, but you know what? We're going to recreate some of that magic here, and can't wait to do it.
We sure are.
Yeah, so Mandalorian coming up here shortly. Thanks again for tuning in on this episode of Busy Sticks, whether that was live at twitch.tv/thegeekiverse, you watched it back on video format, youtube.com/thegeekiverse, or you listen on podcast services around the globe. We always have a good time chatting, and we have an even better time chatting when you get involved live at Twitch. So for John, I'm Josiah. We'll catch you all next week. Have a wonderful rest of your week.